ESPN's analytic nerd Seth Walder, his thoughts on the Tytus Howard trade.
Cleveland is a team that needs offensive linemen. There's no question about that. The question is more about this player at this price. So Tytus Howard is coming off of a season in which he ranked below average, pretty solidly below average in both pass block win rate and run block win rate. The same is true for him in 2024. This has not always been true for him. In 2021 and 2022, he was a very high performer in pass block win rate. So I do think it is important to note that. But it was also, that was 3 years ago at this point. And in both of those seasons, he was also well below average in run block win rate. And so I think that the player that Cleveland is getting, your best expectation is a below average starter at tackle, which is where I assume that they will put him. Okay, so they traded a 5th round pick for a below average starter. What's the big deal? That's not quite right. They traded a 5th round pick for the right to pay Tytus Howard $17.5 million this year and $22.5 million for each of the next 2 years. That is real big money. And the Browns are not a team that is rolling in cap resources. This is a team that ranked or had $1 million, less than $1 million under the cap prior to making this deal, according to overthecap.com. Now, they can restructure deals to get themselves cap compliant for this year, but that money doesn't go away. It will move into future seasons.
Well, here is Jack Duffin from the Orange and Brown Report, who knows as much about the Browns' cap situation as anybody. They will have well over $100 million of cap cash to spend in the offseason, and I am trusting Jack Duffin, Andrew Berry, more so than Seth Walder. Let's welcome in Scott Petrak, Browns beat reporter for BrownsZone.com, as well as the Chronicle Telegram. Scott, folks were asking Andrew Berry, and he just said, yeah, I'll have enough cap space, and he kind of smiled when he said it at the Combine.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a better spot than they were last year. They are not in the clear. They're not one of the teams at the top of the, graph that has the most room. I mean, they still owe Deshaun Watson a ton on the cap. There's guys that are not going to be here that have cap hits because of the void years in the contract. So I think they'll have room to maneuver. They don't have room to make 4 or 5 big splashes or big signings in free agency, but they have a couple, and then they really hope to clear it up next year when you no longer owe Deshaun Watson as much money. You'll still owe him, but you don't have the cash you owe him. You'll get a couple guys off the books.
So when you look at this, do you think the Howard trade alters what they're thinking at 6 at all? We pretty much thought tackle, maybe wide receiver. Does getting that right tackle under contract change that at all?
I don't think it does. It gives you one starter that you know for sure on that line, and that's really it. You don't know what's going on with Joe Bitonio. You don't know Easton Posick is going to be healthy or come back at center. You just don't know the rest of the line. So that gives you one, but that's 4 other openings at the most. I think you have to get a left tackle, and I think that left tackle is going to come through the draft, whether that's 6, a trade down, or 24. I'd be stunned if the Browns don't take a tackle in the first round.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to end up being Freeling? The thing that concerns me is when they tried to flip a right tackle to a left tackle, that was Jedrick Wills. And again, it's just, maybe it's recency biased. Freeling was a left tackle. He was at Alabama, so Monken knows him.
Yeah, I mean, they're guys that make that move, right? Tristan Wirfs made that move and had success. So I don't think the Browns will be scarred by Judd Wills. And I don't think Will's issue was going from the right side to the left side. I really don't. He had bigger issues than that. He dealt with injuries, commitment issues to the game. It wasn't a right to left thing that hurt Jed. When he was on top of his game, he was fine on that left side. So I don't think that's a deal breaker. Freeling's interesting. He's probably got the highest upside of any of these tackles. And I think it's a good group of tackles. There's, 5, 6, 7 that I think could go by when the Browns pick at 39 in the second round. 6 feels a little high for Freeling. 6 kind of feels high to me for any of these tackles. Some don't have the perfect arm length. Some haven't played a ton. There's talk about moving a couple guys inside. So I think the perfect world for the Browns is to trade down from 6 and then probably take a tackle wherever they wind up.